It's the wizard who should be afraid of me.
Wicked's thrilling first part is packed with delightful Easter eggs and details hinting at big secrets for part 2. And right from the start, the movie subtly hints that Elphaba's sister Nessa Rose will become the Wicked Witch of the East, donning those iconic black and white striped stockings and ruby slippers like her 1930s counterpart. Look closely at her younger self and you'll spot red shoes with little red bows, and as an adult, striped ankle socks and blue shoes with matching bows, all nodding back to Dorothy's outfits in The Wizard of Oz. For Fiyero, there are hints about his fate in part 2, turning into the Scarecrow. After meeting Elphaba on his way to Shiz University, he gives her a ride, which she playfully declines. The choreography for his song Dancing Through Life even includes kicking books aside, a nice visual nod to his future Scarecrow persona. His blonde highlights allude to his hay-headed character, and sometimes he strikes Scarecrow-like poses. Before they head to Oz, Glinda comments on Fiyero's odd behavior. He's thinking, which really worries me. Madame Morrible's silvery white hair and wind-swept look reference her power over the weather and the tornado that brings Dorothy to Oz. Her gown features swirling patterns and puffy sleeves. When Boq introduces himself as Boq Woodsman, it's a subtle nod to the Tin Woodman from L. Frank Baum's Oz novels. And Glinda's use of a red handkerchief over Boq's heart foreshadows his transformation into the Tin Man when a spell by Nessa Rose goes awry. Costume designer Paul Tazewell uses butterflies as inspiration throughout to symbolize Glinda's power of flight and her transformation. Elphaba's costumes feature embroidered triangles and glasses shaped like an infinity symbol, reflecting her unlimited future. For Nessa Rose, floral embroidery on her costumes pays homage to her name and echoes back to her mother's milk flour remedy to prevent a green baby. Now, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is the opening one at 4:15. It's not just about that iconic Wicked Witch's hat in the puddle, which hints at her death in The Wizard of Oz. The way the camera pans over the floor, revealing a round window and the witch's hat mirrored upside down in the water, clearly suggests that our expectations about the Wicked Witch will be turned upside down by this movie. Just like the stage show and Maguire's novel did before, I love this visual because it perfectly captures the essence of the story in one simple image. And when we first meet young Glinda arriving at Shiz University, she's shot from below the water, again hinting that this story will offer a fresh perspective on the well-known tale of the Good Witch. We're going deeper, showing that things aren't always as they seem. By the way, does Glinda's literal boatload of pink luggage remind anyone else of Elle Woods showing up at college with a moving truck and Legally Blonde? When Nessa Rose gets her sparkly silver slippers, the design is a cool nod to The Wizard of Oz, with the spiral heels that swirl upwards, similar to how Dorothy arrived in Oz via a tornado. You can also spot these semicircular shapes reminiscent of rainbows. And the box they come in? Ruby red on the inside, just like Dorothy's slippers. Oh, and the shoes themselves are silver, like in Baum's novel. In the song Popular, Glinda offers Elfie a pair of sparkly red shoes and taps them together 3 times, just like Dorothy did. It's a great little meta moment. Later, Glinda takes the shoes back and says, "You've got an awfully long way to go," which is true for both Elfie and the audience, since we're only halfway through part 1 of this 2-part franchise. There are also some clues about the wizard's origins, which will likely be revealed in part 2. For example, items in the tower where Elphaba enchants her broom, as well as boxes and posters with the wizard's real name, Oscar Diggs. You'll see illustrations of magic wands and lions because he used to work as a circus magician. Plus, we learn that the wizard came from Omaha, Nebraska, which you can spot on the luggage and the hot air balloon that delivers Elfie's Emerald City invitation. This is also a nod to how he arrived in Oz and how Elfie and Glinda will later try to escape. More balloons pop up in the movie, including a stone carving of the wizard at Shiz University. And when his picture cracks, revealing animals underneath, it hints that the real wicked one in the story is actually the wizard himself. Plus, a big clue that the wizard, Elfie's biological father, comes right at the start when Jeff Goldblum sings, but you don't actually see him. In a moment that's sure to have fans cheering, Wicked's original Broadway stars, Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, pop up as stars of Wizomania. They're decked out in pink and purple gowns, looking like goddesses. The costume designer even uses similar textures as he did with Elphie and Glinda, with lots of micro-pleating and wave patterns, but blown up for a deliberately OTT theatrical effect. The scene is a total treat, with the Wicked legends doing some hilariously scandalous stage hogging, plus tons of hat tips to their original characters. Chenoweth struggles to get her orb working like Glinda does her wand in Popular. She also showcases her signature baton twirling, and Menzel does her famous battle cry. Plus, there's that trapdoor moment, a nod to Elphie's stage exit and reemergence in the musical. And in a touching and funny moment, Menzel approvingly touches Cynthia Erivo's witch hat, and Chenoweth gently cups Ariana Grande's face before cutting short her high note. The man behind our favorite Wicked songs, composer Stephen Schwartz, is the guard who announces, "The wizard will see you now." His look, including his curly mustache and the way he pops up, is an homage to the gatekeeper from the classic movie. Plus, the movie's co-writer and librettist, Winnie Holzman, appears as an Emerald City resident. When Madame Morrible protects Elphie from the rain with her umbrella saying, "Mustn't let you get wet," it's a nice bit of foreshadowing for Part 2, as well as a clear callback to The Wizard of Oz, the Broadway show, and Maguire's book. But there's a much less obvious but absolutely gorgeous detail. Tiny little crystals shaped like raindrops all around the edge of Morrible's umbrella. Look out for the brightly colored glass decoration hanging from the ceiling during The Wizard and I. It represents the colors of the various regions of Oz from Baum's novel. And those colors appear again when the wizard asks Elphie and Glinda to help him decide on a color for the yellow brick road. When Elphaba gets angry after learning about the plan to cage animals, she slams a bouquet of poppies down in the classroom. This activates her magic, sending everyone except Fiyero to sleep. It's a throwback to The Wizard of Oz, where the Wicked Witch casts a spell on a field of poppies to make Dorothy and the Cowardly Lion sleepy. Here, Fiyero isn't affected, hinting that he'll ultimately become the Scarecrow. Bach, our future Tin Man, does fall asleep because, after all, he's fully human here, unlike the Tin Man. So, I think Elphie subconsciously protects Fiyero from the effects of her magic because, she has a crush on him. When Elphie sings The Wizard and I, watch out for the bluebirds that fly up at 2 different points, a nod to the happy little bluebirds in the song Over the Rainbow. Plus, we get several shots of rainbows too, and that moment where she runs over fields up a hill, total Maria in The Sound of Music vibes. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below.